Hi, and welcome to 108 Healing Senses. My name is Jennifer Taylor, and I'm so happy to introduce you today to my lovely friend, Laura Ferguson, also known as Starseed Lø Lø. So welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for having me. And it's so lovely to be here with you in this space in the United Kingdom and myself in the US via, over the pond, but in virtual land, which is great.
I love it. I love that we can interconnect. And I was thinking about it today, actually, how in this lifetime, people from soul families, doesn't matter where you are in the world, we can connect because of technology. Before at least consciously we can connect with technology. The subconscious we all connect together anyhow. But I was just feeling today, because I do feel we've met online, and there's a resonance, and it's good to have soul friends and soul tribe around you. So thank you very much for coming on today and bringing all of your creative just goodies and creative solutions really to life. I love it. So I suppose without further ado, would you like to introduce what your passions are that's led you to this point today, and what's kind of your path right now going through life? Have you got any inspiration for where you're moving?
Yes, plenty. So for me, the realization of a spiritual awakening was really early 2021 in my late 30s. And it really was with crows. And the crows kept following me week after week after week. And I live in Sacramento, California at the time. I'm in northern Florida now. And the crows, fly into the city. It's a good size, area with a couple million people. But they fly in from the fields. And, they were always there. But specifically, they were like following me. Like I would walk to lunch, or I would, drive 2 miles away. And everywhere I looked, there were 5 crows, 3 crows. And then one afternoon, I guess you could say around 5 p.m. when I'm, stuck in traffic, in California traffic, I hear like screaming through my car windows. And I'm like, what is that noise? And I roll down my window and I look in the trees, and there are thousands of crows. And I'm talking thousands, like it looks like the movie The Birds. And they're just so loud, and there's like crows, like 50 different trees, because it's a city of trees. Sacramento, they say, has the most trees after Paris, France. So city of trees has all these crows. And I'm like, what, how come I never noticed them before? What are they telling me? Well, clairvoyantly, or however you want to describe it, they told me I'm having a spiritual awakening. And then I realized we're all having a spiritual awakening, because we're collective and we're individual conscious containers, as I call our bodies. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I even told one of my doctors, this is going to sound crazy. They didn't physically tell me I, felt the energy. They told me I'm having a spiritual awakening. And so, crows are my spirit animals. And I found out I'm about a third Mesoamerican, Native American, indigenous. My dad is from Mexico. And I just started going off there, and I would go in Facebook groups and do free tarot readings. And these were just random 1-card pulls off of faceless strangers that sometimes didn't even have a profile picture. And I was like, is this real? Like how accurate is this? And, just kind of started that way, and spun off to what I'm currently doing, which in 2023, I self-published and wrote Conscious Kid with Zane series after my son, who's now 7. And the first book was about meditation, because when I looked on Amazon back in even 2023, there weren't a lot of, meditation books for kids. And I was like, what is the healthy way that I can show him how to, like calm down, because he has ants in his pants and very high energy boy and stuff like that. And so I wrote that, and he was only 5 at the time. So I'm like, he's not going to really appreciate this, but maybe in a few years he will. And now he told me, Mom, I meditated for 60 seconds, like he'll like go time on his phone. And then, so it seems to have helped. And then my second Conscious Kid book is about sacred geometry. I couldn't find any that existed.
Very cool.
And actually, yeah, no. I don't know if you have any questions about that, but I keep going if you want to.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose, is it like a story that then introduces them to these subjects of like how to meditate, or like I suppose, tell us about the journey that you're taking the kids, I suppose, and the parents as well, through this sort of joint shared awakening through your books. I think it's such a beautiful idea, especially for the kids. The kids need it, and by virtue, so do the parents.
Yeah, exactly. So they're adventure books, storytelling. For me, that's really storytelling and adventure is
Nice.
A positive way to teach, but in a fun way. And so in the meditation book, there are scenes where Zane will meditate and then he does better on a math test. And then there's a scene where he doesn't meditate and he doesn't score 100%. And so it's showing the difference. And he'll like play sports and like he like scores a touchdown in American football because he meditated. And then he shows his friends how to meditate. And then, then it shows him learning meditation from his mom and asking his mom, well, backtracking initially, Mom, what are you doing? And the mom is explaining, that I'm meditating. And he says, what's that? And it's something to the effect of, it's having my eyes closed to clear my mind and make my, energy and my body healthy. And so, it piques his interest and then he starts using it and it actually helps him in and out of school and in his life. And then he shows him growing up from, a child to a teenager and he keeps on using it. So, and then there's activity pages in the back, like little coloring pages and stuff. And
Love it.
So that's the premise of the meditation book. And then I can go into the sacred geometry one if you'd like.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned the other day about your sacred geometry book, and it started to make me think about where sacred geometry is naturally as well. But yeah, I'd love to. So how do you teach it to kids in a book form? I'm super interested.
So this one was way more technical. The meditation book I wrote in one weekend, and then it was just a matter of doing the illustrations. The sacred geometry book, I have the platonic solids in there. So the platonic solids are in there, and we go through it in a fun way where Zane goes through a portal, and he is an astronaut, and it's called Zane Conscious Kid Adventures with Zane Geometric Universe. And so the first one was imagine and create, because you can imagine, create what you want when you meditate. So he goes through a portal. He's like a little astronaut. When he goes through the portal, he actually encounters an ant being ET, who kind of like where he hangs out a little bit, kind of, as his buddy. And he has a key, which got him into the portal, and he loses the key, and he's floating around. And as he's floating around, he sees constellations, like astrology constellation, that will go with this platonic solid shape. And then each page has all the platonic solid shapes, which with an astrology constellation, with the stars that kind of explain that this is fire, this is earth, this is the shape that goes with it, like tetrahedron, I forget all of them, but it's the platonic solids that basically are creation. And then it explains how that ties into what's called the golden ratio, and that the golden ratio is seen everywhere in anything in nature, from a nautilus shell to flowers to constellations, from the micro to the macro in the universe. And it's done in a fun way where Zane is basically looking for the key, and he sees these things in the sky. And then at the end, he does find a little key. It's a golden key. And then he gets out of the portal, and then he tells his mom, when we were meditating, guess what happened to me? And he explains all this, stuff that he went on an adventure. And so it is way more technical. I was inspired by Robert Edward Grant, because actually I interviewed him in a podcast about 2-3 years ago. And I don't know if you've seen his show Codex on Gaia TV, but Robert Edward Grant is a polymath. And a polymath is kind of like Leonardo da Vinci. It's kind of like the jack of all trades, but most polymaths do art, math. They're basically mathematicians, and I'm an accounting major. So that's another reason why I like sacred geometry. I'm a retired accountant, and I just love geometry in general. And then sacred geometry has an element of like the flower of life and creation, with the metaphysical stuff that we love as well.
Yeah, I love it. So I love you were speaking the story, and I'm kind of seeing it in my head. You're really painting a picture of that transporting whomever it is into space. It's like taking people out of their regular perception of reality, and then saying, hey, what about when we get this small, or just structures that make up the entire universe? I love it. More things to get people to come out of their slumber through life and get them to like wake up and start interacting. I think that's brilliant. And for the kids as well.
I like it. I like for it to spur a conversation and have the kids to ask their parents, or even just to ask Google, what is the golden ratio? What are the platonic solids? And, it's probably for a kid that's a little older, like I asked my friend who's a child counselor, and I said, well, what age range is this? Like, this isn't for a 5-year-old, these are platonic solids, even though it's fun and an adventure story. And I believe they said age 9 to 11. So that, it is a picture book, but it's a little more, advanced on that side. But, it's just made to spur the conversation and, start to get the creative, I guess, spiritual juices flowing.
Yeah. And the little ones, they are so switched on, and it is a case of also us to listen to them, and they'll be guiding us, and they will be wanting to learn about these incredible, or at least remind themselves, and they'll get that things will activate within them when they start to see these sacred geometry patterns and I suppose universal principles in a symbolic form. So I think that's very cool. I'll track down a copy to read it. Definitely, I'll read both of them. So, and actually, you have sent me the link to your adult is it sci-fi fantasy?
Yeah, it's more like a sci-fi fantasy. For me, I call it sci nonfiction, but yeah, it would be sci-fi.
Yes, fantastical, but yeah, but non. Yeah, it is. It's very vivid and visceral, and it feels like you're really tapping into something that has happened or is currently happening. It does transport you. You are a very good writer, and you're also lovely to listen to on your audio book recordings as well. So you should definitely go check you out on what's your name on Spotify and all the other
major my author name is Laura Ferguson, and my audiobook is called The Entanglement, Planet X and Mars.
What inspired you to write that book after the children's ones?
So I started doing hypnosis sessions as a receiver, not a giver. And I started with like a past life regression, 3 or 4 years ago, from someone on Facebook, a lady named Michelle, who I speak a little bit to here and there. And it wasn't recorded. And then I found out about QHHT, the Dolores Cannon method. And I'm like, I want to try that method. My higher self says, do that one. And so I actually ended up doing a session with Alba Weinman. She's here in Florida, but I was in California. I have that one on YouTube. It's a very long one, over an hour and a half. So I joke and tell people, you need help going to sleep here, do this meditate, do this, not meditation. It was meditative, but listen to the QHHT session with me and Alba Weinman, because I go through multiple lives, parallel lives, anything from being a sea captain and being a gypsy fortune teller and being a queen in Scotland. And like, it's crazy. Like, the lives are all over the place. And then one of them was an ET life. And so those lives, some of them are featured in the book. And so they are parallel lives in an adventure story, because for me, I didn't want to just sit there and be like, all right, let me write an autobiography. I'm like, okay, Laura, I was in the Air Force, I wrote a book. I'm like, that's boring. I want to do an adventure story. And guess what? We don't have one about Atlantis that is in the forefront, like in Hollywood and a movie. I want to make this into a movie, so it needs to have action. And I'm a military veteran, so I love like the space explorers and like the reptilians and the blue avians and all this stuff. And I'm like, we need an Atlantis movie, but first I need the story, to get to that point. And I did find a couple Atlantean movies, but, they were like the low budget or really, 90s. I think there was like one in the 50s and one in the 90s. And then there was an Atlantis Stargate show in the US, but, that was it. And I've heard like Greg Braden on Gaia and some people like Dr. Bruce Lipton say, Star Wars is the Orion Wars. And for me, that doesn't really resonate because they don't really have the new age, ETs that we really, like the Greys. We're the Greys, we're the reptilians, and like it's more like Starship Troopers and the genre of space opera. And the genre of space opera just means like Space Wars or like a novella. And so for me, I'm not big on. I have watched Star Wars, Star Trek. I do appreciate it, because I love science fiction and space stuff. But I'm like, we need to have this, and I'm like, wait, I already had this story. It came out in some of my QHHT sessions that I've done with practitioners. Or I did alone and I meditated. Most of them came from QHHT sessions. And so that's really where it started. And my higher self would be writing and it would tell me, kill that character. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. And it said, yes, that's what you're writing. I'm like, okay. And so it just came out like that. And I didn't fight it. And then I told my higher self, is the book long enough? It's only 12,000 words. Higher self said, yes, it's as long as it needs to be. Don't add any fluff. And so, as you see, the chapters are very short. It's only an hour and a half audiobook with 13,000 words, which a lot of sci-fi books go like 200,000 words. And my higher self was very adamant to not add fluff. And so every chapter is going between Mars or Gaia. And you have the female priestess, who's kind of like an ancient Egyptian looking, priestess. But this is pre-flood and pre-destruction, right before, which destruction happens in the book. So it's not a desert in that area like how it is now. It's like a tundra and a jungle and lush. And then it goes one chapter with her in Gaia, and then it'll go one chapter with a blue Lyrian cat ET on Mars, which, both have come from hypnosis sessions. And then it's very fast and furious. Like one chapter, they get invaded by the reptilians, which I call reptoids in my book. And I have certain, language to, it's kind of like I don't want to say getting a cult following, but you know what I mean? It brands it. And so the reptoids invaded Mars, the reptoids invaded Gaia, and then it just shoots off from there really quick. And then, the space warriors are basically all the characters are space warriors because, they're going through this. And there's a general, and then, of course, there's a love interest. And these are soul family. And a couple of my friends and family I put in there as characters because my higher self told me to. And I didn't fight my higher self on it. But it is very fast, very fast moving, and might even translate better as a movie because you have the blue avians in the sky with drones flying around and laser energy weapons and, all this cool stuff going on. And the mantis beings, you got the ant insectoids, you have the reptilians, which I call reptoids. You have the blue avians, which are, the birds. You have the blue Lyrians, which are the cat humanoids. And then there's a little reference like to grays and stuff. But those are the main, those are the core ETs. And then, of course, you have the Atlantean humans, and then they're kind of all together, living together there. And then it parallels Mars at the same time. So it's a lot of action. It's really fun. My second book, I'm going to write about the Orion Wars. However, first I am screenwriting on the back end of this book, so it can be submitted to pitch for, a movie.
Yeah. It's fantastic. It's so gripping to listen to. I will get back to it because it's something that you want to keep listening to, and it really takes you there. It's very visceral. You're very good at taking people to the scene and feeling what they feel. So I do wish you all the best that it gets on screen, because these are the kinds of stories that have also been either obscured or distorted through time. And as you have had like first-hand experience at a multi-dimensional level as a soul experiencing these things, you can write with a depth that I'm sure other sci-fi writers are also channeling from higher realms when it's that visceral as well, and you've got that, so that's fantastic.
Thank you, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. And anyone can do it. Anyone could write about the parallel lives. All perspectives are valid, and again, unique and specific. The experience is real. Maybe the matrix itself is not, but the experience is. And these are parallel lives because it's all here and now. There is no past and future. We are basically painting a picture as we go, and it is happening all here and now. And so that's why it's vivid in your mind, that if you've gotten hypnotized before, which I believe you have, because you do hypnosis yourself, some of these lives are so vivid, like you come out crying or screaming, or because like Mars gets bombed, and the first time I re-experienced that in a couple of hypnosis sessions, I cried because I lost some family members, and it felt like I was going through it at that moment again. Like it's real. The feelings are real, and the experience is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I said before we got on the show how in the past before getting into future vision as a practitioner coaching, so going past life as well as future life progression, I had done some work with an acquaintance, but it was too much. It wasn't balanced enough or professional enough, that from doing so many of these past life things, and I was kept having remembrances of very traumatic things that had happened off world, that it was kind of making me go a bit crazy. So at that point it was like, you need to close those doors. So I totally understand that it's like, do the work, do it respectfully, not only like just be respectful to yourself. You don't need to know everything, but there will be information that will come to you that is for the highest good. And it's definitely work with the right people to do that. Sorry, I digress.
None of it's a coincidence. None of it's a coincidence, because you got something out of that experience as well. Even if it's something that we do not prefer or neutrally do not prefer, we learn more about ourselves. And what we find is more of ourselves, and just go from there.
Yeah, the level of depth, and to be honest, the moments where the veil has been very thin for myself, that I've been able to access more information about who I am, who I have been, and other lives, other things that have been going on. I really respect what my body and my mind can take, and knowing its limits, and also knowing that what is in my highest, and just continue to follow that. I'm a future vision practitioner, so I eat, sleep, and breathe and chat about this all the time, because we are all multidimensional. We all have all of these different opportunities to activate these different parts of us that may have happened in other times. You might have been a ferocious leader or warrior in another time, and in those moments here in this lifetime, you will also be able to reactivate those parts of you, as much as we have all the spectrums inside of ourselves, and it's up to each and every single one of us to be able to balance and temper our tempers. So
temper our tempers.
Temper our tempers, yeah. So we don't continue like karmic loops, and an eye for an eye, and well, they hurt me,
or lessons we have to keep relearning.
Yeah, so I think I don't know if you experienced this too with your QHHT work. Did you get a real profound just feeling about life after you realizing that, wow, I've had all these other lifetimes and it's been so visceral? Like, what was your experience? Because QHHT was the first time I had a past life regression, and it really was very profound.
It was profound for me too. After I did the QHHT session specifically with Alba Weinman, and I literally felt every different life she took me through. And like I said, anything from a sea captain to a queen to, a fortune teller, gypsy, and things like that. And it was profound. I knew that it had changed me forever, and that what is coming out in any moment is divine timing. Nothing is a coincidence, and that we are the manifestors of our experience. And something that keeps me going is The Formula by Bashar. And he doesn't sponsor me or anything, Daryl Unka. I just love his principles. I read his book, The Formula, but you really don't need to read it because it's for free on YouTube. And the cliff notes are basically live in your passion in your highest passion in any moment. And it doesn't matter if it's something small, like I'm going to eat a cookie or I'm going to go stand over there. It doesn't have to be anything large or profound. As long as you're living in your highest passion in any moment, you're going to be like the childlike energy, where kids are literally living in the moment. They're so happy, especially the youngins. And this one is challenging for me. Don't have any expectations of the outcome. Okay. I'm a retired investigator, accountant type. And so I'm really, in my left brain and analytical and mathematician side and all that. And so it's really hard for me to be like, yeah, I'm going to look at my Spotify analytics and see, a song plays and this and that. Oh, it doesn't mean I can't be happy, about what's happening in the moment, or I can't look, but it means that I'm not going to force that it has to be, it has to be 1 million listens. Oh, but it's only 60,000, or it has to be this. And, because you're setting yourself up for failure there. And your higher mind or higher self, which is also you, but your higher mind, which is, they say about 98% of you is your higher mind, 2% of you is channeled here in the human experience, knows better and is actually driving the bus. And that the compass within us is our feelings, and then our feelings is our intuition, and then the intuition gives us the urges to follow our passion and tells us, I love to do podcasting, or I love to write books, or, I love to go outside at this time of day, or whatever I love to do in your passion. I love to eat this kind of cookie, whatever it is. That is direct channeling, if you want to call it that, because it's you. It's direct communication from your higher self, basically telling you to act on this passion. And as long as you do that, don't have expectations of the outcome, you stay positive and get rid of negative fear-based beliefs, and then rinse and repeat over and over and over. And then, I would tell myself about 5 years ago, how can spiritual work support me and my family financially? And little by little, it's getting there. And in my experience, for me, it's not meant to be an overnight sensation. You know what I mean? And so it's not that. But everybody's different. In your experience, you might be an overnight sensation. I have no idea. For me, my soul agreements and everything is, it's going to be little by little. It's going to be this book and that book and that book, and then maybe a screenplay, and then maybe into a movie, and then maybe a year from now it might be being made into a movie. I have no idea, but this is, like I said, since 2021, been slowly plodding along. And I kind of went off topic, but it's really propelled me when I started getting these hypnosis sessions. And you're right, because I can get obsessive about going down the rabbit hole because I'm a retired investigator. I want to know all my lives and I want to know them now. And it did overload me, even though I love information overload, information junkie. And I was meditating every day and finding a new life. And then I kept telling my higher self, why am I getting a different life every day? I even saw myself as King Tut's grandma. And it was just crazy. And then I had an Akashic record session with someone because Harry Houdini wouldn't leave me alone. And, I don't really prefer the medium side of it, because people that have crossed over to the other side, even if they're not, especially if they're not fully crossed over, they suck our energy in order to communicate with us. So I prefer not to have quote unquote dead people around me. But Harry Houdini would not leave me alone. I had an Akashic Records session, and we would cross him over to the other side. He did pass away in the early 1900s. He was a great magician, escape artist from Europe, and he passed away on Halloween, I believe in the 1920s. And it turned out I was his girlfriend, Daisy, not his wife. And Daisy ended up starting a spiritualist church, I believe in the 30s. And so I kept telling my friend I need to do a session, and he helped me, send him to the light. And that was like 3 years ago, I think. I haven't gotten them back since. But more recently, a very interesting session I had in person, my first in person one in October 2024. I got Julius Caesar, and I posted on YouTube about that recently. And it was interesting because it was in person. And the lady, like yourself, was from the United Kingdom, coincidentally or not. She's a very lovely lady named Nikki Sunflower, a musician named. She actually plays guitar and sings here, Panama City Beach, Florida. And I said at one time, Julius Caesar came out, and you'll see, the little like 10-minute clip of me as Julius Caesar. And then you see in my book all the parallels of the symbology of the warriors and the swords and the energy grenades and, the Aquila with the eagle, they had the Aquila eagles and the little stick thing when they were marching. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder why I have these eagles everywhere. This is, like, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
And, I re-listened to those sessions, and I'm like, that's in my book. That's in my book. That's in my book. Because, I didn't know I remembered all that. It's intrinsically, it's in us. You know what I mean? It's in our energy.
Yeah. And it's interesting as well. I've noticed the things that you've done in the past, whether they're good or bad, they can repeat in your following. I suppose if you're thinking in a linear fashion of lives, that you can take the best and the worst bits from the past life to either process or to gain wisdom and information from. And also it's like the things that you learned in the past you bring into the present that you can work on now. So you have all of these skills that you've been learning and mastering throughout all of your lives. And then this is like the life now where we have a real big bank of knowledge and know-how that I kind of feel like that's because these are the times that we need everything. We need all of our tools in our toolkit to be able to help the world progress. I think it's the best way to say
So
that.
Do you believe that it might be our oversoul is kind of like injecting all of these lives in us right now in this time of need in the world?
Yeah, I feel like Gaia is probably our ground. She's our cord. So we're not say bound or tied, but almost to her reality, with that thing of we come into this world, we may remember a little bit. I think more kids now are having more past lives that they're remembering more vividly. I feel like the veil is thinning as we're going along, which is great. So people are starting to remember that there is more to life than this one life, and not to be so sad about their one life, and just to really just go for it. And then we're getting all of these intuitions and whispers like, hey, why don't you go, this is to yourself, like, why don't you start playing music, or why don't you go outside and spend more time in nature? And then I don't know if you get this too. This is what happens to me. So I get these kind of inner whispers where it makes my heart feel really good thinking about whatever that thing is. And then I go and do it, and I'm like, whoa, this feels so familiar. And
your higher self is right.
Yes. Yeah, you. So it's beautiful, and I feel like it's also that practice of listening to your own inner intuition, listen to the whispers that are calling to you from within, and taking action, not just being like, oh, maybe I'll do that next, maybe I'll just learn guitar another time. Like, put a date on it, or just make a start, because that energy's there and it's making itself known to you and to individually and collectively, that for us to take action, for us to start to care about our communities, the spaces that we're living in, our neighbors. Like, not everywhere has friendly neighbors, but it's these are the people that are around us. So it really is how can we start at home? How can we make the best of our personal situations, our family situations? And then it's the circle continues, this radius continues out, that we're all having a positive effect, that we all become orbs, like we're all orbiting what it is to be caring and considerate towards each other. At least that's how I'm feeling, where
Exactly.
the new earth is birthing, and that's how we get there.
Exactly.
Is with consideration and care for one another, but we've got to start with yourself first, and then work your way outwards.
That's true, and that's why I call my book the Entanglement series, because we are all entangled. You know, and a lot of people talk about the law of one, which is, you know, it's channeled back in the 70s. I haven't really gotten into that, but, you know, it basically, the foundation of that is that we are all one and we are all reflections of each other, simultaneously having the individual consciousness container experience. And so you are right, our frequencies are raising higher and higher. And as we raise higher and higher, the veil is going to be thinning more, not be, but is thinning more. And we are having more of a connection, even if we are on the other side of the world, because we are entangled. And so making the best of it and helping humanity by starting with ourselves is how we can start.
Yeah. And support friends as well. Like, again, this is another reason why I run this podcast, is because I want more solutions than problems in the world. So what does that mean? I have to put more solutions out into the world than problems. And also giving people a platform to be able to reach new people, reach their people. You know, we all have those that are assigned to us. There's no competition. It's just, we're just radiating at different frequencies, and we will, you know, we are drawn to people at certain times for a reason, a season, and a lifetime, or let's put lifetimes. So, yeah, it's exciting. I love it. I think I'm really joyful at how things are kind of revealing and flowing when I continue to keep listening to my inner whispers and keep taking action and keep showing up the best I can every day.
You're 100% right about that, because we can take so many multidimensional certifications, and I've done a Gaia Grid Worker certification and all these fancy things. However, if we do not act on it, it's not going to mean anything in our reality and shape our reality as we would wish.
It almost feels like we've been practicing enough, and now it's like take action time. That's almost what it feels like. Now's the time. That book you've been wanting to start on a book structure. Do your chapter outlines, whatever it might be, your manuscript. You know, there's whatever the creative juices that are coming to people. Like, what is it that is inspiring you right now to take action on? And if you want to energize it even more, write it in the comments. Like, get that energy going and flowing and growing. So I love it. Make dreams happen.
That's exactly true. That's exactly true. And that's your higher self is giving you the feedback. I love music and I love writing, so let me combine them. Early 2024, I started songwriting, which I can write a song in 5 minutes sometimes, because the writing part is easy, you know, putting the singing and all this. And because I was not trained, you know, music or classically with music, and I lived in a Hispanic household. I was not encouraged to do performing arts. And so it just feels right at the time. And I was like, even if nobody listens, even if nobody listens, guess what? It's for me. And so I want the energy out there. I've gotten feedback from my higher self that our frequencies, including using our voices, is in the ether infinitely forever. And so it doesn't go to waste.
I love it. The creative part of life is, I hear it when I listen to music. I listen to the words, the ones that code heartbreak and disconnection, and sometimes I'm rewriting them as they're coming out, so they're not affecting my subconscious. I'm like, no, I will rewire. It's a catchy tune, I'll give them that, but I will rewrite the words, because I won't allow that to be part of my programming, because what you talk, what you think, what you say, and what you listen to will all have an effect on the cells in your body. That's another, Bruce Lipton and epigenetics. Not only your family members, everything around you, your body, your cells are listening to you. So it's really important that the words that we think and speak are the ones that are going to benefit our lives and everyone else's at the same time.
Exactly, 100%, which is why I don't listen to mainstream news, and I've stopped about since 2021 or even prior to that. Even if I accidentally hear it or see it on my phone, I swipe out. And it's not that I'm sticking my head in the sand. I am keeping my energy in balance to what I want to feed it.
Yeah, because what you focus on grows, and also if you're focused on something that's fear mongering, then that's the vibration that you'll be taking on. So I'm very similar. Every now and again, I might stick my head in and see what's happening, but I'm really in the space to create. Just really be in a peaceful space inside and outside in my reality. So, yeah,
I love it, Jennifer. And I don't know if this is a good time if you want to go into a channeling segment, but I'm ready when you are.
I was just thinking that, so I'm glad we're tuned in. So yeah, when you're ready.
Okay. Just a moment here. Do a little short sound healing and we'll get in.
Nice.
We are ready.
Thank you for joining us today. May I ask who would like to speak with us?
Ashtar Command. This is a first for her. She does not know of Ashtar Command. However, we are a collective of multiple races.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us today and gracing us with your presence. Was there any messages or words of guidance that wanted to come through in this conversation?
We love you, literally you and the collective. And not only are we watching from the inside out, we are you, and meaning that we are the starseeds and the collective. And we know that there are a lot of humans that are interested in these types of subjects, wondering why they aren't getting help. Why are these things happening? As some other channels I've discussed, the old ways are being dismantled and the frequencies are being higher, not just in this reality, all infinite realities of the all. Therefore, although it seems slow, the energies are actually moving faster and faster, which everyone reacts differently to. And the big focus should be self-care, doing what you love. And it's really as simple as that.
Beautiful words. Thank you. Certainly something we've been discussing and feeling. I certainly feel that lightening in my heart generally the last few weeks or so. It certainly feels like things are lifting.
Yes, there are big shifts that are happening that might take until your perceived timelines of the 2030s. And if you feel like we are having a build up to the 2030s, it's because we are. This makes sense.
Do you have any guidance to help people regulate and balance themselves in this period up to 2030s?
Focusing within is always the highest good of the all. Even if you feel like you're only helping yourself and being selfish, you are actually being selfless. and altruistic in all forms by focusing on yourself. When you focus on yourself, it re-energizes you, even with quote unquote perceived heavy energies, which are not heavy, it's just perception. But even with the perception of the experience of heavier energies or chaos in your reality, focusing on yourself, what you love in every everlasting moment comes first and foremost. After you are energized and focusing on yourself, then you may help others as you wish. Remember, there are no others, that is just an experience. However, the experience of helping others is important because you're also helping yourself in that way after you are re-energized and balanced.
I was going to ask, in what ways would help people re-energize? I know there's plenty of things that may make people feel drained and tired, but do you have any suggestions that people could implement for themselves?
Yes, listening to others. You have a saying that it costs nothing to be nice, correct?
True.
It also costs nothing to listen to others. And a lot of others in your reality or our reality, because we are also you, feel unheard, number one, and therefore, as a side effect, sometimes feel unloved or unwanted or unneeded. And a lot of them also feel like they might not have a purpose because they are not doing what they love in the highest moment.
And is that what purpose looks like?
Our purpose is to do what we love and be ourselves. That is all. However this looks. If your higher self wants you to paint a picture physically that day, then you paint a picture. If your higher self tells you it feels good to sing a song, you do that. If your higher self tells you to watch Netflix for 10 hours, you do that within reason. We are not saying to forego your responsibilities. If your higher self says, go to this job or go to this job interview, everything is a learning experience. Nothing is a coincidence. Therefore, you really can't make any quote unquote wrong choices because everything is meant for you and everybody you meet is meant for you. But a lot of the best things in life are free, which is another saying of yours, such as listening to others, being kind to others, even if you live in different time zones or countries, even just checking in and messaging someone who you know might be having a quote unquote hard time. How are you doing? Lovely. Have a bright day. I'm thinking of you. Let me know if you need anything. Just something quick and easy can make a huge difference in someone's experience.
Yeah. It certainly can be challenging at times, especially if you're in a space of feeling quite low. I suppose if there are those moments for many, what are some ways that they can learn to listen to their higher selves? What are the telltale signs that it is their highest part that's leading them?
It depends on the person and their unique learning abilities, which they prefer. If they prefer to be an audio learner, they can have an interview with themselves, audio-wise. What do I want in life? What is my purpose in life? What do I really want to do? These types of deep questions they can ask themselves, and their higher self will answer, even if it's not audio-wise. They will tell them either in a dream or telepathically. If the person is a visual learner, they can do channeled writing. And Laura has done this before too as well. You can interview yourself and write down questions. What do I want out of life? What do I want to do tomorrow? What is my goal in 5 years? What do I want to do in this moment? Maybe they can't even figure out what they want to do in the moment, let alone in an hour.
Yeah.
It's better to hone in on your highest passion and what you want to do. Because if somebody is out there in the world to receive your gift, even if it's one other consciousness. You are there to give it to them.
That you said gift, and that has been something that's been floating around for me recently as something that you can give or share with another that will benefit them. And it doesn't need to be a gift as a present that's wrapped up with a bow, but even from the care and attention. So I suppose what I'm trying to ask is, have you got any more guidance around kind of this arena for people to navigate with the most grace and ease, even if they're having a hard time?
We do not feel opposed to medical care. If the person is ready to off themselves, so to speak, they should seek medical care. We do not give medical advice. However, we can point you in that direction. So if it is an emergency, they should get medical care. We want to make this clear.
Mm.
If it's not an emergency of life or death of themselves or others, they can still continue to practice what they would love to do in the highest moment. They should also focus on not thinking negatively, because just like the saying, and we love to refer to sayings, you are what you eat, you are what you think. Does that make sense as well?
Absolutely. You are what you think and you are what you say, to a degree.
Yes, 100%, because not only do your thoughts manifest, when you also add the frequency of language, this actually makes it even stronger. This is why spoken word is so important, whether it's written or audio.
So it really can create and birth people's dreams and destinies by acting on their creativity, acting on their impulse, their inner impulse.
Bingo. That's the answer to the riddle of the Sphinx. And that is the key to staying in the frequency that you naturally already are, which is creation.
Yes. Beautiful. Are there more guidance or wisdom from Egypt, from pyramids, from those times in the past that are coming to the surface now to be revealed that can help humanity evolve?
A lot of these secrets, so to speak, such as what's under the Sphinx or Giza Plateau, although it's Gaia as well. Giza Plateau can easily and has easily been scanned with muon, MUON technology, radar technology, ground penetrating radar. And this one, she has wondered, how come that has not been shared with the world? There are rumors that intelligence agencies, whom we will not name, alphabet soup, have gone and quote unquote taken some of these technologies and wondrous things in the archives. However, the long and the short of it is it's not going to matter, because the objects don't matter intrinsically. Even the ancient knowledge in them don't matter as writings intrinsically, because it is in our consciousness.
It's almost like we are the Library of Alexandria.
Yes. The Library of Alexandria was burned down, but it doesn't matter, because you are the library.
Yeah. So it's quite profound. It's almost like the act of them sending it through flames to destroy really kind of moved it into almost to re-establish into the energetic field, into the consciousness.
Yes, remember, we all have collective and individual perspective point agreements. Nothing is done without an agreement.
Yes.
doesn't mean that it might not be a painful experience, and we can honor that, although our experience of emotions is different than in your experience. We still do honor that some experiences of war and famine and abuse are not beautiful or wonderful to experience in the moment. However, everything has a purpose, and everything fits like a puzzle piece of an infinite picture.
Yes, beautifully said. Like a tapestry for the soul.
Exactly. You're one of the golden threads of the beautiful tapestry.
Thank you very much. And I know, and I appreciate you coming through today. I'm assuming that we do work with each other at a higher level. I may not know those with names, but I do feel Star family around to support. So, and I'm sure those watching this will also have a resonance with their own missions and their own Star families too. So, from all of us, thank you for connecting. It really is a pleasure, and a beautiful remembrance through the heart. What it also feels like being back up, closer to source energy than earthly form. Yeah.
Yes, anyone who hears this broadcast is a part of us directly, as you would say, as an oversoul. And they are meant to. And we have unlimited, unconditional love for you as us and us as you.
I feel that very much so. Thank you. Are there any further pieces of guidance or wisdom or insights you would like to share today?
We get a lot of questions, even just telepathically, or thoughts, which we do hear and feel, especially when you ask us to. I'm not doing enough. Not only what is my purpose, your purpose is to be you, however that looks. End of story. I'm not doing enough is not true, because the order of synchronicities says nothing is a coincidence and everything will happen in divine timing, which means down to the second or down to the day or the night of something that you have completed. Therefore, that's not true as well. And so you all are doing enough. And that's why we say just follow your highest passion and everything else synchronize. It is really that simple. And sometimes humans want it to be a little more complicated. And we choose not to feel anything that we do not prefer. And so ideas such as war and famine don't exist for us because we have chosen not to. And the fourth dimensional 4D Gaia in this reality is shifting. It was more of like a higher, 3D going into the fourth density. Now it is a fourth density and fourth dimensional. There really are no dimensions. However, this helps us to explain it better. And we are more like a 12th or 13th or higher, with the option to experience a body. Most of us do not eat, do not have names, do not have to drink. Therefore, we have nothing but time. And time is an experience merely for us if we are in the physical. And us as you is experiencing that. And we are here to help in any way that we can. We know that a lot of humans feel like they're alone. They are not. Energetically, we are one being having the perspective point individual experience. And a lot of times with day-to-day things such as work and paying bills and cooking food and these kinds of human things that we do relate to. However, we don't experience all the time unless we do jump in a reality. For us, it's like walking in another room to experience a reality, even if it's for a brief moment in perspective. So we do try to remember all of these things, and that not everybody on the earth that has been channeled before can go and sit and sing Kumbaya and meditate for 8 hours. We realize that as well. However, you can use the time that you do have effectively to act on your highest passion.
I love that. I was just feeling as well in the act on your highest passion, and also find ways that you can create the most peaceful, tranquil environment for you to be in. Even if you're not meditating, quote unquote, you can still create that space where you basically are being in a meditative space during your day.
This is correct. Whether you're driving, cleaning, doing something else with your hands, or even sitting for work. In the foreground, you can be aware to everyone. In the background, you can be in a meditative state.
Yeah. I've started gardening during my days, and I have that. I have a task, but then in the background it's quiet. I don't listen to any music. I tried once, I didn't like it. Having that quiet time, and then every now and again hearing the birds, it is such beauty, such reset and balancing through nature. And I really feel like at this time, nature is a huge medicine for all of us to really care for and enjoy, and share this space together in harmony.
This is very true, that having yourself in the environment to create that space for the creativity, even just to think in your highest passion, even if you're not physically doing what you want in your highest passion, which you can do. It's like a Jedi mind trick. You particularly enjoy this gardening because you're a botanist in other lives. And for you, it might be distracting to have music. For others, they might have heavy metal on level 100 in their ears. It just depends on the individual and what you and your higher self love to get you to stay in that mode of creation, and your highest passion is exactly what you're doing. And we highly encourage to keep this up. And your botany work is very expansive, and this includes knowing how to use herbalism. And that is the information we have on that subject for you.
Beautiful, thank you. Yeah, I love it. I'm my most happiest when I can tend to plants, and then also create beautiful, sacred essential oil blends, and just fusing the magic of all of these plants. It brings me so much joy. So much joy.
This is correct. You are an herbalist and a botanist, and your infusion of your energy is love and literal light, and the intention is what makes it magic.
Thank you. I that is when I do any of my healing work, any of my botanical work, I'm always connected, and this is my personal mantra that helps me realign myself when thoughts that may come in that are either, they might maybe make me feel lower, and it's just a really great way. And I say this as many times as I need: source love, source light, Christ love, Christ light. And that's what harmonizes me. That's what reconnects me to source. That's what reconnects me to love. And whatever I'm doing, those are the words and going through my heart. And I know it will be different for every single person on earth, how they reach and attain and connect to the love, to what love is. I suppose
this is an example of helping others, Jennifer. You ask how others can live in their highest moment in passion. You are an example of this. Even just explaining this, it's something that the world needs to hear.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for just being able to and wanting to speak with us today. Those with and without body, I honor and I respect you, and I'm very thankful for the help and the love and the support that all of us are getting through this interaction and these interactions. So thank you.
As we are as well, because we do learn. A lot of your peoples think that, oh, we are in this dimension and it's so high and they learn nothing from us. This is not true. We, just as you learn from us, we learn from you in this circuit.
I love that. What have there been any interesting lessons that you have personally learned recently about humanity that you would be happy to share?
We see humanity sometimes as a child who is developing spiritually, and humanity will always win because love always wins in the universe. We would like humanity to know, those who will hear this, is that universal love is not just an emotion, it is creation itself. And that you have way more control of your manifestation in your life than you think you do. We teach our youth, and we live hundreds, if not thousands of years in bodies when we do experience bodies. We teach our youth this from the day they are born, telepathically even. We tell them, you control your destiny in the moment to the moment, everlasting moment. And we teach them that if you do not want to experience something, you do not have to. If you do not want to feel or think something, you do not have to. The universal energy is neutral to neutral positive. It only gets negative if you give that definition of negative. Does this make sense?
Absolutely. Like a compass.
In addition, yes, your inner compass is your higher self. And if you act on your inner compass, which you know because you know the things that you like, and you act on those passions, the only things that can happen in your life are beautiful things. And some humans are like, how can I be supported by playing the piano or something like this? If you stay in a positive mood and listen, continue listening moment to moment on your passions, everything falls into place in a very beautiful layout. And there is no wrong choice. However, it'll be even more glorious than you can even imagine your physical mind. Because what your higher mind has in store for you for acting on your highest passion, it keeps on feeding you and feeding you and feeding you and feeding you as you act on it more and more and more. So the moral of the story is to act on your highest passion no matter what.
Thank you. And that feels like the right place, unless you have any other beautiful pearls of wisdom to give us today. I feel like that might be a really beautiful way to complete. But are there any final words that you would like to share before we close the questions for today?
Yes, in the 2030s, physically, hybrids and humanoids such as Pleiadians will be a regular thing. It is just a matter of the awareness of humanity keeping up with the frequencies and raising from within.
Will it be a very visual? Will people be very consciously aware of this happening, or will it be more behind closed doors, I suppose?
It depends on which reality they choose. If it's a naysayer or just a person who does not prefer that reality with physical hybrids around them and whatnot, and, those other humanoids and stuff, they won't experience that. If it's a starseed or someone who wishes to experience that, they will.
Interesting. Thank you. So we're very much vibrating to the reality that we are thinking into place.
Yes, you are what you think.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Much appreciated for your presence and your wisdom today, Ashtar, Commander Ashtar. And it will be a pleasure to speak with you again in the future sometime, if that is what you'd like to do as well.
Yes, we would love to. And we thank you for your interaction. We love you all, and we wish you the best.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now.
5, 4, you're coming around. 3, 2, just wiggling your fingers and toes. And then 1, you're opening your eyes, feeling refreshed and in your body. And if you've got some water, have a sip.
Yes.
Have a sip too. Thank you very much. That was beautiful channeling.
You're welcome. I've heard of them, but I'm a little surprised because I was a collective of different ones.
It's like I feel big things going on, and it's lovely to have that. You know, those that want to speak as well. I believe, right, Commander Ashtar is. It's like is it Earth Advisor or certainly very high? I will read up more on him after this show. But that was really informative, and I loved all of the aspects around purpose and really listening to our own inner intuition as guidance. So.
That's correct, and I'll re-listen to it as well because I hear them, but it's almost like I'm, in 2 rooms over there, and it's almost like an echo, and they're over here saying what they want to, regardless.
Perfect. Well, make sure that you get the recording as well, and this will be going out. So very exciting, and
great.
Yeah, I mean, I love the channeling side of things as well, and you're a really good, grounded, just loving sweetheart. So it's a real pleasure to. Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be able to guide you through. Well, ask questions at least with you. And let's do it again. I think this is the kind of information that people may have been thinking themselves, and then sometimes it's that confirmation of that is what I've been feeling, and it helps them to trust themselves more deeply because they've been getting those whispers too. So all of this is again more remembrance for people to listen to their higher selves, to listen to their souls and their inner compass.
100%. 100%. If there's something that you like and you have a passion for it, there's a reason. You should follow that rabbit hole and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Lovely. Well, before we close for today, are there any other words of wisdom or gems that you would like to share with the audience before letting people know how they can contact you and read your book and listen to it and any other services that you have?
Thank you, Jennifer. First of all, just keep going. Keep doing what you love, no matter what. And if you keep this promise to yourself, beautiful things are going to happen and are happening in your life, even if they don't feel like they're moving fast. So that's first and foremost. And my usernames are Starseed Lø Lø Music on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm under Starseed Lø Lø. All music platforms, Starseed Lø Lø, because I'm Laura and Lil is my nickname, and Starseed. And my books are under Laura Ferguson. Children's books are on Amazon primarily now. The audiobook is on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Books as The Entanglement, Planet X and Mars.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I will
Thank you for having me, Jennifer.
Yes, absolutely. And let's do this again sometime. We'll reconvene and we'll catch up more. It was a real pleasure speaking with you today. So thank you so much. And for anyone that would like to work with me or has an interest in building their own business, in a marketing, social media, branding type of way, I have started making some off the shelf products. You can either have a one-to-one with me. I've just started a new 108 Healing Senses botanical membership, which I'm going to start filling with more information on how to use them, personal stories, as well as being able to buy the bespoke monthly products through the membership only. It's a real sacred space, and exactly what Laura and Commander Ashtar also shared was I really do put an channel pure love, pure source love into all of the products that I make, and so they really become part of your toolkit. So that's my sacred circle if you do want to have an experience. So that's something that's evolving for me. Be sure to subscribe, 108 Healing Senses, and the podcast as well. Lovely having you. Thank you so much. Write down, comment, what did you enjoy about it? And also, what are the things that you would like more support with or guidance in the future? This is a space for all of us to learn, to grow, and to evolve, and to continue bringing more solutions than problems to the world and be more purposeful. So that's all exciting. And thank you so much again, Laura. And
you're welcome, Jennifer. Bye, everyone.
Bye for now.